What is going on YouTube? I'm back with the second episode of an earlier video that I made on how to be a fake natty, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the diet and sharing with you all the knowledge that I've acquired throughout the years and mistakes that I made so that you can avoid those mistakes. Because when it comes to dieting, it is really tricky. People are struggling to lose fat, to gain muscle. That's why I'm making this video. And I feel like when we're talking about diet, there are three groups of people who are interested in this subject. The first group are the ones who want to gain weight, or in other words, they want to gain a lot of muscle, but they don't mind gaining fat either. They want to be as strong as possible. They want to lift a lot of weight. So they're probably dirty bulking. And I'm not the biggest fan of dirty bulking, but I think this video will be helpful to this group of people regardless. And the second group of people are the ones who want to lose weight. Perhaps they want to go down a size. They want to lose fat, but they don't mind losing a little bit of muscle either, right? So the main goal is to lose weight, and you don't care what kind of tissue you're using, so you are okay with an aggressive cut, because you probably want to get to your destination in the shortest time possible. And the third group of people, which I belong to, and I feel like this video is best targeted for this group, are the ones who want to lose fat, but they also want to gain muscle at the same time. And that is harder than just losing fat or just losing weight or gaining weight. Depending on your lifestyle, there are different ways that you can approach this problem. I want to think about it in three different stages. So we start from easy and we work our way to the more advanced and harder stages. Let's say for stage one, you have a busy life. You have a job, you go to work, and then you hang out with your friends. Maybe you go to gym 3 or 4 times, but your weight is pretty much stable. It stays the same throughout the year. That's how you know you are eating your maintenance calories, right? So at this stage, I'm not even asking you to start measuring anything, but you still know that you're eating your maintenance calories because you're not really gaining weight. Your gain is pretty much stable, and the amount of activities that you do and your calorie intake are balancing each other out, right? So at this point, there are some low-hanging fruits that you can start utilizing that will help you a lot, actually. And that is, or I can think of 2 things that you can start doing. The first one is adding protein. I'm seeing more and more research which shows that you can lose fat in a caloric surplus. And you've probably seen it on the internet that if you want to actually gain a lot of muscle, right, you have to eat enough protein. And I feel like a lot of people aren't eating enough protein. So this will actually help you and give your body the nutrient and the necessary building blocks in order to build muscle, right? So that's one benefit. And the other benefit is, again, back to the discussion about research, the recent research that I've been seeing on the internet. They are seeing, and nobody's able to explain this phenomenon, but they're seeing that you can lose fat in a caloric surplus, given that the surplus, right? So you're eating your maintenance calories and you're adding protein to your diet, right? So you're now in a caloric surplus. But because this surplus comes purely from protein, you will still lose fat. I haven't seen anybody explaining why this happens, but they're seeing this actually happens, right? So just throwing in a couple scoops of whey or a chicken breast or a couple boiled eggs will help you build muscle, 1, and 2, lose fat at the same time, right? So this is one low-hanging fruit. If you're eating your maintenance calories, and you want to make progress, right? And by progress, I mean you will build muscle and lose fat, just start eating more protein. And I'm saying just protein, right? So if you start adding a whole bunch of carbs and fat with your protein, then because you're in a surplus, you will, of course, build muscle, but you will gain fat as well. And the second low-hanging fruit is that you should start just walking more, right? Walking is the best form of cardio when it comes to losing fat because it is so easy. It doesn't incur any sort of fatigue. Like if you're interested in high intensity interval training, right? That style of training needs rest for you to recover, right? So it could interfere with your lifting sessions, and that's not what we want, right? I used to, like, back in the day, let's say 10 years ago, HIIT was like so big. I saw all these influencers were talking about HIIT and how there is this afterburn effect, but the afterburn effect only burns like, I don't know, like 20 calories or so. So it's really negligible, but they represented it in a way that's like, you know, you're gonna be in shape in such a short period of time. But the reality is that when you do a really like high intensity sort of interval training, you'll be super hungry after that session. And I at least started to like overeat because I thought, you know, there's this afterburn and I'm gonna burn any calories. Any calories that I eat right now, so I can eat whatever, you know, butter and bread and all these, you know, super high calorie foods. But no, that's not how it works. So for stage one, to summarize, you want to increase your protein intake and you want to start walking. Just go walk around the block. If you're doing your grocery, don't take your car. Just walk. You know, 6,000, 10,000 steps per day. And you don't really have to run or do anything that is difficult. You just want to be a little bit more active. And that gets me to stage number 2, where things will start to get a little serious. At this stage, you don't have to hire a coach. You can do everything by yourself because we have so many interesting tools available to us, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I will share with you the strategies and tools that you can use to literally get to like 6-7% body fat. And really, you don't have to start hiring a coach, but you have to be committed. It requires a lot of effort from your side. You will be hungry at some point. You will have a lot of cravings. But the thing is, you will know what to do, right? And it's very simple. You will just follow a simple diet that's convenient for you, and you'll be training, which is the most fun part. But it's going to be hard, and it requires a lot of effort and commitment from your side. So what are these tools that I alluded to earlier? Well, it's artificial intelligence. And no, I'm not talking about these calorie apps that some of the fitness influencers are promoting. They are ridiculous in my opinion. Like, how would an app know based on a single picture the exact calories and macros in a meal, in a dish, right? People won't get results from using those calories, right? Imagine you're eating a chicken salad, a Caesar salad, or whatever type of salad. So did you use chicken breasts or chicken thighs in your salad? And they have completely different, I mean, not like vastly different, but the macros and calories between chicken thighs and chicken breasts are different, right? Or let's say you're making something as simple as rice, a plate with rice and ground beef, which is really my favorite sort of meal when I'm trying to build muscle and lose fat. So when I'm dieting, I want to keep things simple, and that's my go-to meal. But what kind of ground beef are you using in this meal? Is it 0% fat, 10%, or 20%, right? Did you cook it with olive oil? How much olive oil did you use? A teaspoon or a tablespoon, right? Or maybe you just sprayed a little bit because you're under the influence of these professional bodybuilders who are basically eliminating everything, and they're like spraying their pans with olive oil because they want to avoid fat at any cost. And you shouldn't be doing that, and I'll be talking about it later. But the difference between the calories, you know, if you used 20% fat ground beef and you use a tablespoon of olive oil, the calories are a lot higher than if you use very lean, ultra lean ground beef with like with a spray of olive oil, right? That could determine whether by the end of the day you're in a caloric deficit or not. And if you're wondering why you're not getting results, well, that's because the apps aren't reliable. However, I mentioned that artificial intelligence is still useful, right? So not all hope is lost for artificial intelligence, because you can literally go to ChatGPT and give some information, right? You need to give some information to ChatGPT about yourself. And that information includes your height, age, weight, whether you're female or male, and then you will ask for your maintenance calories. While you're doing that, any other information such as how active are you? Are you a sedentary person? Are you like an office person who's sitting for the most part, and maybe you go to gym? How many times do you go to gym and lift, right? How many steps do you take per day? These will determine your maintenance calories, right? And ChatGPT will give you an estimate, right? It is not by any means a precise number, and we don't need precise number, but because we're gonna find out. We'll find out by ourselves, but we wanna start from somewhere. So you give all of this information to ChatGPT and you get a number that is your maintenance calories. Say, I take 6,000 steps per day and I lift 4 times per week. So my maintenance calories are 2,500, right? And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is that you will ask ChatGPT literally to put together a diet for you with the ingredients that are convenient for you, right? For me, or like for anybody, there are some must-have ingredients that I think anybody should be using. You need quality sources of protein, right? Not junk food. And for protein, chicken breasts, quality animal-based protein, ground beef or steak, whey, eggs are amazing. Salmon is really good. It's high in healthy fats. And no, I'm going to talk about fats in a little bit, but you don't want to eliminate fats. Fats are really necessary, especially the healthy ones. I'm not talking about deep fried fruit, deep fried foods which are cooked with seed oils. I'm not talking about seed oils, but healthy fats. And then you want complex sources of carbs. You got your rice and potatoes, sweet potatoes. What else? Oats are things which I'm utilizing usually. Cream of rice, any sort of good complex carbs. And again, not junk food, not candy. Even honey. Honey is super fast absorbing. It's great for pre-workout or post-workout. And I'll talk about the importance of nutrient timing later in stage 3 when things are really advanced. And then you have your fat, and this is really important. I used to watch all of these professional bodybuilders, day in the life, right? And where like what they're eating, and they're basically trying to cook their food with like oil spray. They're eliminating all the fat, and there's a reason for that. They don't need it. But if you're a natural lifter, you need healthy fats for your hormones. You want to keep your hormonal balance. Professional bodybuilders, oftentimes they're injecting themselves with exogenous hormone, right? So their body will stop producing, let's say, testosterone anyways, right? So they don't need the building blocks, like literally the good type of cholesterol that you can, for example, find in egg yolks. Don't throw away the egg yolks. Eggs are amazing. You can eat as many eggs as you want. They have no health concerns. And then healthy fats. So cholesterol, good type of cholesterol, and healthy fats are important for your natural testosterone production. So you cannot completely you cannot completely eliminate fat from your diet, right? You need it, right? So usually your calories should consist of 30% fat, 30% protein, and 40% carbs. You need the protein, obviously, because you want to build muscle. You need the fat in order to function properly and maintain your hormonal balance. And then you need the carbs because carbs are the fuel. You literally want to go to gym and lift weight and train as hard as you could. And that's, again, I'm going to continue talking about this topic in stage 3. And then don't forget that vegetables are also important. Cruciferous vegetables, especially things like broccoli, they're really important for your health. For example, I actually did a video in which I reviewed my own blood work, and genetically, I am inclined to having high cholesterol, blood pressure, and heart problems and stuff like that. So it's important for me to take care of this aspect by keeping the bad cholesterol low. And for that, for example, one of the things that really help is broccoli. And some of the healthy, I just want to mention at this point some of the healthy fats or fat sources, which are obviously egg yolks, salmon, avocado, olive oil, nuts. Do not forget, like, try to incorporate these into your diet. Do not skip fat. And then, so what you can do is that you give ChatGPT a list of ingredients that are convenient for you. They can cook food, right? You have to stop eating junk food. Unfortunately, you cannot be eating out because you're serious, right? And you want to get results within 6 months. You have to start measuring things yourself. You have to be cooking, right? It is absolutely necessary. If you are serious and you want, right? So your goal is to lose fat and build muscle. And that is very hard. It's no joke. So you have to be committed to the process. And then, once you got your maintenance calories from ChatGPT, you want to go 10% below that, right? So usually 200, 300 calories below that, below your maintenance calories. So what is going to happen? Basically, your body, let's take our example from earlier, 2,500. Your body needs 2,500 calories in order to keep everything running in your body for the whole day, day after day. So when you eat below that, when you're eating 2,200 per day, there is an additional 300 calories needed from food that you're not providing as fuel to your body. So your body will actually start utilizing some of the fat that is stored on your body, and that's how the fat loss process occurs, right? So at this point, again, because we want to build muscle at the same time as we're losing fat, we're not going to do an aggressive cut. An aggressive cut, in my opinion, is when you're under eating by 800, 1,000. It is very tough. You absolutely cannot sustain that for a long period of time. Maybe 4 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, but definitely no more than that. It is very challenging, right? But 300 calories, even 400 is something manageable. I think anybody could do it, right? The hardest part is that you have to be really consistent with the diet. You won't be hungry. You won't be overly hungry. You will have your cravings. I love me a burger with a side of fries. I love it. I get the cravings, but again, you have to be committed to the process, and you have to stick to the diet plan. But I can guarantee that if you're in a deficit of 300 or 400, you won't be that hungry. However, because of your cravings, you are allowed to have a cheat meal. Again, not a cheat day, right? There's no cheat day in which you can eat whatever you want, because you can literally nullify all of the effort that you put into the diet in a single day if you're having cheat days, because people kind of are overconfident about the effort. Like one or 2 days of dieting and you feel like, oh, it's so hard, but I'm burning so much fat. But it's not like that. You cannot have cheat days. You can have a cheat meal, or even better, if you want to take it up a notch, you can have refeed days, which are strategic cheat days, or they're actually different from cheat days in that in refeed days, you eat more carbs. That's the thing. It's just a trick. You're tricking your body. You're providing your body with more carbs, and you're in a higher surplus, because you want to signal your body that, hey, everything is fine. I'm not in a famine. Everything is fine. You kind of trick your body. You replenish some of the glycogen stores in your body. And then you repeat the process for another, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks. Personally, I feel like every 2 weeks I have to have a cheat meal or a refeed day. I prefer refeed days because it's just, I don't know, at this point I am so committed to this fitness journey and fat loss phase that I'm in that I just don't want to risk it, right? If I'm gonna have burgers, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have the burger, I'm gonna really enjoy it, but then I'm gonna be worried for the rest of the day that, hey, what did I do? It's just so maybe once a month, it's so I can have my burgers, but refeed days are the way to go. Summary of stage number 2: you go to ChatGPT, you figure out your maintenance calories, and then you design the best diet that is most convenient for you using ChatGPT, and you don't need any fitness coach to help you here. However, if you are to go and compete in a bodybuilding competition, fitness coaches can actually be of great value. But as a normal person who has a job but you still want to be in the best shape of your life, you have all the tools available to you. Like, you have for free, you have ChatGPT, and you just need to put in the work. Now let's talk about stage 3. And I am currently, like, I've been struggling a lot this year with my fat loss journey. I managed to go down to like 9% body fat, but my sleep was suffering, my training was suffering. I had very low motivation. In general, I was feeling really bad. So I had a rebound phase of around 2 weeks in which I basically let go of the diet and I was eating whatever that I wanted, and I gained 3 to 4 kilos back. So I managed to go down all the way to like 73 kilos, but then I went back up to 77. But now again, I'm in my fat loss phase. But this time around, I am doing a lot of other smart things that would help me get down to 7%. It's going pretty well, and I'm going to share with you these advanced strategies. Stage 3 is for people who are really committed. They're on top of stage 2. You're not cheating on your diet, right? You're training consistently, you enjoy training and dieting, and you want to take it really, really further and get into, let's say, 1-digit body fat percentages, which are being, let's say, 7 or 8% body fat is not healthy for anybody. Like, there are 99% of people are not happy and healthy being single-digit body fat, and I'm talking about 7%, 8% year-round. There's only like a few. There's one fitness influencer I can think of, and that's Tristan Lee, that I've seen for years. He's like in this around 4, 5, 6% body fat, and like, he doesn't care about the taste of food that he's eating. He's mentioned it many times, but that's pretty much the only person I can think of. And that's my goal. I want to get down to like 7% body fat, and I want to see how it feels, Plus, and now I'm more active on social media, so I think it's good for my future career. In stage 3, we care about nutrition timing, nutrient timing, training, and sleep. So I want you to treat 2 things in a very, very special way, right? Your training and your sleep are almost holy to you. You want nothing to mess with these 2 things. These 2 things are of utmost importance, right? So if you're doing an aggressive cut, which makes you tired throughout the day and you're not able to lift as much weight as you would otherwise do, and you wake up in the middle of the night all hungry and you can't go back sleep, I think you should stop. Or maybe you just want to do it for 4 weeks to lose a lot of weight, right? That's fine. But that's nothing sustainable. You cannot do that. Let's be realistic. If you want to get down to like single-digit body fat percentages, you have to be dieting. The reality is that you have to be dieting for 6 months, 7 months, for months on end. It's not easy unless maybe you're taking performance enhancing drugs, right? Or some special fat burning drugs. But this video is more towards people who don't want to take drugs, natural lifters such as me, fully naturals, no PEDs, no peptides, no fat burners. We're not injecting ourselves with anything. I do take supplements, right? Pre-workout and stuff like that, right? I'm not talking about those things, but I'm more talking about drugs, which are illegal in a lot of different countries. You know what I'm talking about. So, in the advanced stage, the first thing that I want to talk about is fasted cardio. Now, fasted cardio was something that I ignored for a long time because, you see these people on the internet, they say, oh, as long as you're in a deficit, by the end of the day, you will burn fat and it's fine, you don't have to worry about it. Because you're dieting for such a long period of time. Let's say after a month or two, you're gonna be dieting for 6 months. After a month or two, you will lose your patience, right? So you want to optimize things and make things faster. You want to get results faster as much as possible. That will help you stay sane, stick to the diet, stick to the plan, and do it for the whole period of 6 months, right? So fasted cardio, when you wake up and you go for a walk, again, the best form of cardio is walking, right? It kind of allows your body time to start utilizing the fat that you've stored in your body. So imagine you've been fasting the whole night and then you wake up, obviously you wash your face, do whatever hygienic process you have, and then you go out for a walk. Hopefully you get some sunlight, which is really, there are a lot of benefits to that. I don't have to talk about it at all. And this video is not for me to talk about vitamin D and the benefits of sunlight whatsoever, but that's a plus, right? You go for a walk, you burn extra calories, you burn mainly fat, or theoretically, you should be burning fat. And then you come back home and you have your breakfast. And that gets me to nutrient timing. And how you can use carbs in a smarter way. So what I have done recently is that I have completely eliminated carbs from all other meals, and I'm only eating carbs before, during, and after my workout. Before my workout, because the carbs that I'm eating, and I usually go for super fast absorbing carbs, for example, white rice. I eat about 300 grams of cooked white rice. I measure it when it's raw. It's about 100 grams or 120 grams, and you can triple the weight, so around 300 grams of cooked rice. And I can literally feel it because I'm in a deficit, right? So when I wake up, I go for a walk, come back, I feel a little tired. So I have my breakfast, which doesn't have any carbs, right? So we're still promoting that fat burning effect. I want my body to continue burning fat throughout the day. But then I have this meal with a lot of carbs, and then I can literally feel I'm getting more energized. My blood sugar starts spiking, but it drops super fast as well. I can feel my stomach feels a little weird because of that. So what I try to do is that I usually add small amount of fat, maybe some of the avocado. I eat half of an avocado per day. So maybe I eat that with my pre-workout meal, or I add broccoli, or I eat the protein first to kind of slow the digestion so that I skip having that weird feeling in my stomach. But I usually go for super fast absorbing carbs, and in about an hour and a half, I'm ready to hit the gym with glycogen stores completely replenished, and I will have the best performance possible in the gym. So again, I'm mentioning that you want your training, you want to perform the best possible while you're in a caloric deficit. So if you're having your, let's say, carbs later at night, you won't be able to utilize those carbs in your workouts, right? So it's better to have your carbs around your training window, right? So again, at this stage, if you're a big fan of intermittent fasting and stuff like that, that stuff doesn't really work for me. I can see a huge difference when I have my carbs around my training window, because it helps me really push harder, especially when I'm eating carbs before my workout. I have the energy to go into the gym and keep progressively overloading the weights. I want to be able to lift heavier and heavier and get stronger. That's the goal. You want to work really hard in order to build muscle while you're losing fat. And then I take this intra-workout, which has EAAs. You don't necessarily have to take EAAs if you're eating your maintenance calories, but because I'm in a deficit, I don't want to be losing muscle. Again, I don't want to risk anything. And then I'm having a little bit of carbs just to fuel my workouts. My workouts aren't that long anymore. I'm not training for 3 hours. Like I've actually talked about the best workout split in my previous video, and I'll link it to this video. Make sure you watch that first before watching this video, because then you have to fix your training, right? So you have to fix your training first, and then you move on to your diet and rest and recovery. And then the post-workout meal is actually super important, right? The nutrition or nutrient timing, the carb timing, it is very important, right? So for professional bodybuilders who are taking exogenous hormones or who are injecting themselves with PEDs, they have this thing called nutrient partitioning. It's literally, you can look it up on the internet, I'm not joking, but their bodies are better able to utilize the carbs. The carbs, I mean, these drugs, there are like scientific explanation for what they do, but they make their cells better utilize the carbs. So the carbs won't be stored as fat in their body. Instead, they will be used as glycogen and for recovery. So they have better recovery. They can train for longer durations and more often. They can perhaps train twice a day, right? But that's not true for us. The reason I want to have a good amount of carbs after my workout is because when you work out and you lift heavy, you are very insulin sensitive. So it means that you are more likely to use these carbs as glycogen, as fuel for recovery, instead of your body storing it as fat. So you want to place a good amount of carbs right after your workout, because you want to make sure that your body will actually use it for the purpose that you want, that is aligned with your goal. And your goal, you already know at this point in the video, is building muscle and losing fat, right? Maybe I shouldn't be repeating this because I've said it so many times. But for the rest of the day, again, I only eat protein and healthy fats, and that's pretty much it. I've been seeing a lot of great results. I don't wake up in the middle of the night hungry because I have slow digesting protein right before I go to bed, right? So I'm basically digesting and using all this protein throughout the night, and then I wake up and repeat the cycle, basically go for fasted cardio and do that. Another thing that I've started to do, or I think you should be doing, is that first, right after you wake up, you need to hydrate yourself, because you're eating so much protein, you need the water for better digestion. And then another thing that I have started to do is drinking a cup of coffee before I go for my fasted cardio. It kind of boosts the fat burning effect, right? So at this point, we're in this advanced stage and we want to get the best bang for our buck, right? I want to maximize and optimize things for as much as possible. So I've been it's very easy on my stomach. It suppresses my appetite and I'm not hungry. I go out for a walk. And I mean, the walking by itself, doing cardio by itself suppresses your appetite. You don't feel as hungry when you're walking compared to when you're like sitting still and doing nothing, right? So I'll combine these two things for maximum effect. And the last thing that I want to talk about is about training abs. I think it makes sense especially when you're in a cutting phase and you're approaching lower body fat percentages, it makes sense for you to start training your abs. Because if you're 20% body fat, it doesn't matter. Like you cannot localize the fat burning. It's not determined by you. Your body decides, or we can say it's determined by your genetics, right? So when you're in a diet, you cannot make your body lose fat from around your belly, right? It's beyond your control. Doing a lot of crunches, doing a lot of ab exercising, it doesn't do anything for that. But what it does is that your abdominals are muscles. Just like any other muscle, you're making them bigger and stronger. So when you approach lower body fat percentages, when you have better defined abs, when you have strong trained abs, well, you'll start to see the definition earlier than say if you didn't train your abs, right? So that's something that I've been neglecting for the past 5 or 6 months, but luckily I've started to train my abs again. So keep that in mind. You cannot localize the fat burning by training your abs. However, if you have strong abs, chances are you will start to see your abs when you're in 30% body fat or something like that. That's it, guys. That brings me to the end of this video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you will take something away from this video and avoid some of the mistakes that I made throughout the years. Definitely don't overlook the fat. Healthy fats are really important. Fasted cardio, walking is really important. Training, do not let anything affect your training. Even more important than all of these is sleep. If you have good sleep, you build more muscle, everything is better. You are more energized, your body recovers faster, your body secretes the growth hormone when you're sleeping. A lot of magical things happen when you're sleeping. So don't let anything interfere with your sleep. I feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm like on social media or like using my laptop until the last minute before going to bed. And I think I should stop doing that. And I'm trying, I'm getting better and better and better at that. That's it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.